Hello, Drew Timmick here with my little YouTube rant about the eCampus Technologist module. Basically, this website was designed by Extend Ontario, and it is where we, as teachers, can go to help answer the question, how do I integrate technology into my lessons to address specific student learning challenges? The website module opens with a cartoon scenario, video, that introduces us to the course objectives. This is something that we as teachers are encouraged to do at the beginning of every lesson or unit. However, the goal of this course is to integrate technology into our classrooms, meaning that we should try to get away from the norms. For example, instead of us simply reading the objectives of the technologist module, they prepared a more engaging cartoon scenario to explain what we are expected to learn. In other words, the website is practicing what it's trying to preach. So to drive the point home, the goals of this module were also reiterated in written form under the next link of the module. So to start off, as far as my preferred definition to digital literacy goes, I'm speaking in reference to the 4 links we were assigned to read. I definitely agree most with the government of British Columbia's explanation for digital literacy. This is likely because their definition is most in line with the Ministry of Education. So it goes, the interest, attitude, and ability of individuals to appropriately use digital technology and communication tools to access, manage, integrate, analyze, and evaluate information, construct new knowledge, create, and communicate with others. Wow, that's a long list. However, I connected with this definition because each of these listed uses of digital technology are important features of most Canadian educational curriculum documents, and therefore, by design, they have a deeper foundation in the teaching profession. So it's not that I didn't agree with the other definitions for digital literacy, it's just that they seem to be more general, so that basically the description could align with any profession. That's all. All right, now let's get into the meat of this thing. By that I mean the design thinking portion of my little rant here. So I'm going to try and position that so you guys can see it. And the design thinking concept is ultimately trying to establish how do we get students in the habit of first identifying the real root of a problem, then crafting creative technological solutions to those problems. The design thinking process uses a systemic approach that has a core focus on both group learning and growth. So essentially, the learning module that we were assigned to read teaches us 5-step design thinking process, hence the systemic approach I mentioned a second ago. These 5 steps are designed to properly identify problems, then create good technological solutions for them. So let's briefly go through these 5 steps. The first step to design thinking is called empathize. Okay? Let's put that up there. Empathize. This is where we're trying on the shoes of the person or people that are dealing with a specific problem or challenge. This step is a critical brainstorming activity that invites designers like you and me to imagine themselves as the user so as to list the problem components. This step is best completed in groups and is geared towards identifying all of the components that exist within the context of the problem itself. So the scenario we're given in this module is to empathize with teachers and how we can best help them integrate tech in their lessons to facilitate individual learning challenges. So essentially, once we have a good list of these problem components, we can then move on to step 2, which is to define. Step 2, define the problem. So this is the stage where we identify the actual root of the problem. And this is basically done by examining our list of problem components that we generated during the empathize step so that we can look for a pattern. And this will help us to define the core issues of the problem or challenge at hand. For me as a teacher, I suspect that the definition of the pattern that I would garner from my own individual issues would be, how do I step out of my comfort zone to try various technologies that could be helpful in a lesson? So now that we've gotten to the root of the problem, and we know the individual workings within the problem itself, it's time to search for the optimal solution. And this leads us to step 3, which is called ideate. This is where we generate a list of potential existing tech that might fit our problem. And then we test each of these fits for feasibility to meet the majority of our problems. Or, I guess we can also create our own tech that meets all of our needs, like a module-driven website such as Extend. The module suggests using the sections model for feasibility analysis. This is to ensure that the chosen technology is learner-focused. And this module actually provides a link for multiple different teacher resources that we can access at a later date when we want to use this process. In our scenario, our chosen technology would likely be the one that best delivers the lesson objectives given our specific evaluation criteria. However, although we have selected a technology, in most cases, that technology will be one that works for problems such as ours. And it's time that we individualize that technology to our own specific problem. And this brings up the 4th step that we call the prototype step. Okay, here we're building the prototype. So we are incorporating our problem components into the tech. We play with it ourselves, share this design with colleagues for constructive criticism, and then we incorporate their feedback and refine for a final product for student learning. After this refinement stage, the 5th and final step to design thinking is called the connect stage, or the connect step. This is step 5. Connect. This is where we evaluate the challenge of integrating this technological integration in our actual lessons and then connecting the technology to the curriculum. And this is the final process of determining how best do we instruct the students and how they can incorporate this technology to maximize their own learning. And if you can't come up with a clear sequence of those student instructions that can link all of the learning objectives, it might be time to go back to the drawing board. So in summary, this 5-step design thinking approach, which is intended to work within our own personal digital literacy mindset, is a process that can help teachers navigate the world of technological options that exists for educators. And the ultimate goal of this module is to assist teachers with the exceptionally challenging issue of how do we facilitate individual student learning with an aim of building their problem-solving abilities, whilst using the vast universe of technologies that are available, especially in an ever-growing and evolving digital world. And that's it. Thanks.